So a few weeks ago I made a video on Youssoufa Moukoko, Dortmund's Wonderkid striker who was added to Football Manager in the winter update. We boosted his potential and how good he could play in the future, and we simulated that career to see how he got on, and hopefully we're going to see him become the best player in the world. The issue is, he didn't turn out to be the best player in the world. Eduardo Camavinga, at least on paper, looked an awful lot better, much better average ratings, played for better teams, and won so many more individual awards. And because of that, the idea for today's video was born. This is a new little mini-series I'm going to call Wonderkid Wars, where I take two very similar looking Wonderkids and max them out and then simulate their careers essentially, and we see who does better across their career. This might actually be pretty useful on the grounds that these Wonderkids are going to be very expensive in your save files, and you might only be able to sign one of them. And if this series can prove that one is significantly better than the other Wonderkid down the line, then it might influence how you sign players in your own save files. I've just started a save with Aberdeen, and I doubt I'm going to be in a position to sign either Moukoko or Camavinga, but if I was, it would probably only be one of them. So hopefully today's video will help me find out who is better to sign, hopefully down the line. If you've not yet seen any of the Aberdeen stuff, I'll put a link on top of the screen right now, but make sure you do click subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one, and of course the Aberdeen series, which is going really, really well at the moment. So the reason that Moukoko and Camavinga are so sought after in Football Manager is because they've got a potential ability of -10. Football Manager has a hidden attribute where it rates players from 1 to 200, with 200 being the very best and 1 being, well, you've got no business playing football really. The issue with players like Moukoko and Camavinga is because they're so young, no one knows exactly how good they're going to be in the future. So Football Manager, for basically all young players and teenagers on the game, give them a potential range. Camavinga and Moukoko are the only two players with a potential range of -10, and what that means is they're going to, in your save file, be somewhere between 170 potential ability and 200 potential ability, which puts them as one of the best players in the game wherever they are in that scale, but there's a chance that they could be 200 out of 200 in your save file, which is absolutely mental. Obviously this randomizes every single save file you load up, so some save files you could have a player of 170 potential ability, or other saves they could be 190, it just depends on luck of the draw essentially. For the purposes of this experiment though, we are setting Moukoko and Camavinga to their absolute maximum potential ability of 200, and we're going to see how they get on across their careers. There are plenty of Wonderkid pairings that we could do in this kind of mini-series, so if you've got a good pairing of Wonderkids, let me know down in the comments section below. I think the next idea I've got is Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones at Liverpool. I think that's a pretty decent idea, so maybe that gives you some inspiration, but let me know down in the comment section, and the best ones will get made into a video. Whilst you're down there as well, would massively appreciate it if you guys could drop a like on today's video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and also click the link at the top line of the description to download the OneFootball app, the sponsors of today's video. OneFootball is the best footballing app out there for all of the latest news and live scores straight through to your phone, but you can also get up-to-date information on all the players that matter to you from around the world, including Moukoko and Camavinga. You can get all their up-to-date stats, all the information on how they're playing in real life. It also helps me sign players in Football Manager. I also like to look at players and see how they're performing in real life before scouting them out in the game. So I'd hugely appreciate it if you could download the app from the top line of the description for absolutely free, as it hugely helps me and the channel out. So we'll start off with Youssoufa Moukoko. He's 15 years old in game, and as you can see, he's got some already incredible attributes at 15. 16 determination, 16 dribbling, 15 finishing, 15 first touch. He looks incredible, right? Really, really solid player. And as you can see, we've also upped his potential ability to 200. Crucially, I've not touched any of the hidden attributes like ambition, loyalty, pressure, professionalism, stuff like that. I've not touched any of those because all we're focusing on today is potential ability. If you want though, we can do a video on these hidden attributes down the line and what they mean and how they can make a player better or worse. And the same with Camavinga. He's got no real standout attributes just yet, but across the board probably is a little bit better than Moukoko. And again, just so you can see, we've also set his potential ability to 200. His current ability is a little better to start off with because he's just a little bit older than Moukoko. But again, we're not touching the hidden attributes at all, anything like that, leaving them as they are as they develop naturally in the game. And hopefully we'll see 20 years down the line these guys be absolutely incredible. So we're going to jump 5 years into the future. It's now 2025 and Moukoko is 20 years old, playing for Chelsea, and wow, look at some of these attributes. The physicals are absolutely insane. Jumping reach is a little low at 9, but everything else there is really sublime. He's got 19 dribbling, 17 finishing, 18 first touch. I mean, this guy at 20 years old, valued at £76 million, is incredible. He's also chosen to play for Cameroon as opposed to Germany, which is interesting, but he's got 31 goals for them in 48 appearances at 20 years old, which is mental and insane. His current ability has jumped up to 180, which is, I mean, it puts him as one of the best players in the world at 20 years old, which is absolutely insane. So Moukoko, take a bow. You are fantastic. How has he got on in his career? Well, interestingly, he went from Borussia Dortmund to Bayern Munich for, by looks of things, a whole season, and then started off the season with Bayern Munich before moving to Chelsea for £58 million, and has got some incredible average ratings in there, 7.34, a 7.24 across both seasons, scoring 12 and 13 goals in the league respectively, 20 overall in that 24-25 season, and 20 the season before that as well overall in all competitions. So already at 20 years old, a 20 goal a season striker. Very impressed with Moukoko. Let's have a quick look at Camavinga when he comes up. There we go. There's Camavinga, who's playing for Roma, which is interesting. Now, instantly, I'm seeing much better mentals on Camavinga than we saw with Moukoko. Moukoko's maybe got slightly better technicals, but I think as a striker, he is a bit more going to have better technicals anyway as a striker. Physicals look pretty even, but I think the mentals are better on Camavinga. Let's have a quick look at the current ability, which is 185. Okay, so the game reckons that Camavinga is slightly better as a player right now, which is interesting. So he moved to Roma when? Recently on a free transfer from Stade Rennais, but wow. Look at the average ratings on this guy, a 7.91 and a 7.79 from lots more games played than Camavinga as well. He's getting plenty of goals and assists and player of the matches. I think this first round must go to Camavinga because just on the average ratings alone, he looks a lot like a more consistent and better performer than Moukoko. Now, obviously, he's 2 years older, so that's going to help a little bit, but wow, I'm impressed. So let's go another 5 years or so into the future and see if we are still saying Camavinga is the better of the two players. So it's now 2030, and I mean, look at this. Moukoko has got just incredible attributes. So many good attributes. It's better looking at ones that he's not good at as opposed to ones he is good at because he's just good at everything, right? He's got very low long throw-ins, as you would expect as a striker. Very low tackling, as you would expect as a striker. Aggression is pretty low, which is actually kind of good, I suppose. The only negative I'd say that he's got is the jumping reach of 8. He's just not very good in the air. I guess that's one area of him he's not going to score many goals in as an aerial threat. But you don't need to be an aerial threat when you've got 17 pace and 20 agility and 20 balance. He just beats everyone on the pitch in a sprint, essentially. Looking at the attribute polygon, though, his mentals are not as good as other areas of his game. He looks fantastic in every area apart from the air, but mentally looks a little weak, which is a little bit concerning maybe as a striker. He still plays for Chelsea, as you can see, average ratings are getting better every single season, up to a 7.88 average across the last season he just played, scoring 22 goals in the league, 28 in all competitions. So he looks like a very prolific striker, although for a player of his quality, I'm going to guess that he is now at 200 current ability. He is at 200 current ability. So for a player with that sort of current ability, I'd be expecting more goals, like 30 at least in the league every season, like the sort of Messi and Ronaldo levels of goals or the Mbappe and Haaland levels of goals. We're not really seeing that. That does surprise me a little bit. I mean, I guess he's getting that for Cameroon, right? 87 goals in 99 appearances for Cameroon, which is insane, but I don't know. I feel like he should be scoring more. Heading over to Camavinga, he is also still at Roma, which is interesting. And his technicals don't look as good, if I'm honest with you, as Moukoko's, but I think his mentals are better. Physicals, maybe not quite as good either, but if you look at the attribute polygon, he just looks better overall, I think. Which is very bizarre considering looking at the attributes. So I guess hidden attributes must have a big impact on this as well. He's also got a current ability of 200, which is pretty impressive. So these guys are both literally the best they could possibly be right now. And again, I'm probably going to give this round to Camavinga based on what I'm seeing here on the average ratings. I mean, since we've last seen him, every season an average rating above 8, which is mental. The 27-28 season, 10 goals, 10 assists, 18 player of the matches in the league from centre of midfield. And he's more of a CDM as well, as CDM centre mid. So to score those goals from that deep back is mental. What a player. I mean, honestly, Camavinga has won this round for me again. So we're going to jump forward one final time. It's now 2038, so 18 years into the future. These guys should be coming up to retirement about now. Moukoko is 34 years old, still at Chelsea, but as you can see, the attributes have declined a little bit, as you would expect with age. Current ability of 165 now, so obviously he's still actually an insanely good player, but obviously not quite the player he was when we saw him 8 years ago. I'm going to guess he's still playing for Cameroon as well, but currently has 152 goals in 177 appearances, which is mental. Looking at the history, I mean, every season is well above a 7 average rating. We're currently in December right now in 2038, so halfway through his season, but literally every season he's been at Chelsea has been above a 7.2 average rating. I think there's been 2 seasons at the start when he was below a 7.5. So he is an incredible performer. Really, really solid. I think one of the reasons he won't be getting the 8 average ratings like Camavinga has been doing is because as a striker, you need to score every single game to do that, essentially. And as you can see from his goal scoring record, he's not scoring every single game. I'll be honest, I'm actually kind of disappointed with the goal scoring record. Like, a 1 in 3 is there. As an ordinary striker, is very, very good. But this guy is literally 200 out of 200 current ability, the best player in the world. He should be on the Messi Ronaldo level of goals, but he's not. So if anything, I feel a little bit disappointed by Moukoko and his goal scoring record. So Camavinga is now back playing in France, this time with Marseille, and the attributes look pretty decent still actually for 36 years old. Let's have a look at his current ability, which is also 165 just like Moukoko, which is very interesting. So obviously very, very similar players. His career then, when did he move to Marseille? He left Roma on a free transfer to go to Chelsea. So actually, there were a couple of seasons where Camavinga and Moukoko were playing together on the same pitches, arguably 2 of the best players in the world. But again, you look at the average ratings, and the average ratings are just an awful lot better than Moukoko's. I'll be honest with you, based on what I'm seeing here, I think Camavinga probably is the better signing to go for because he just is a lot more consistent. So let's have a quick look at some awards then and see who's won what award out of Moukoko and Camavinga. We'll start off with European Golden Boy, and by looks of things, neither of them won it. Pedri from Barcelona won it twice, Jude Bellingham has won it, and I guess all these other guys are now regens, but neither one of our boys won it, which is really interesting. European Golden Shoe, which is essentially the best striker in Europe. Obviously, it's going to be won by a striker, but what I'm seeing here is no wins for Moukoko, which is very interesting. Haaland's won it a few times, Esposito's won it a few times. This Massimo Ciccone guy for Liverpool has won it loads of times. 33-year-old striker, so actually must have come through roughly the same time as Moukoko and Camavinga, and yet this guy's a striker massively outscoring Moukoko, which is really interesting. What's his current ability? Current ability of 175 at 33 years old. His potential was 187, so I'm going to assume he got to 187 at some point, but he's scoring, in some cases I'm going to say double the goals Moukoko is getting at Chelsea. This is the sort of thing I was expecting from Moukoko, and we didn't see that, which is really interesting. So why could that guy do it and Moukoko couldn't? Well, I'm going to guess the hidden attributes of Moukoko are just not particularly good or something like that. As for the best player in Europe, well, Camavinga has won that 3 times, as you can see, 25-26, 26-27 and 30-34, which is very impressive, I must say. So 3 times there for Camavinga, 0 times for Moukoko, but this Ciccone guy, look how many times he's won it. He's absolutely insane. If we have a look at the World Awards, and we're looking at the Next Gen Award right here, which is essentially European Golden Boy, but for the entire world, Moukoko did win that one in 2023-24, as you can see, by topping the charts there when he played for Chelsea. Camavinga hasn't won that one, which is interesting, but it's one award for Moukoko, so he's finally picked one up. In terms of World Footballer of the Year, well, this award's been dominated by this Ciccone guy that we've just seen. This Ciccone guy, I feel like we need to do a video on this guy. I think once we've done like 5 or 6 of these Wonderkid Wars, we need to then compare the very best Wonderkid regens that we've had in all of these save files, because this guy looks just absolutely incredible. But Camavinga has won World Footballer of the Year, so that's another award for Camavinga, and it kind of backs up the fact that we did think he was better than Moukoko in this save. World Player of the Year, not entirely sure what the difference is between World Footballer and World Player of the Year, but neither of our boys have won this award, which is obviously very upsetting for them. And then World Golden Ball, which is the Ballon d'Or essentially. By looks of things, have any of our boys won this one? I don't think they have done looking at this list. They've not won it. Mbappe's won quite a few. Haaland's won quite a few. The Sikone guys won quite a few. But despite giving Camavinga and Moukoko literally the best current ability in the game, they couldn't do it, which is really, really interesting. Like, why could they not do it? That just seems bizarre to me. A quick look at the Champions League as well. Well, I can't see Chelsea or Roma winning any Champions League or even getting to a final. Chelsea got to a final here, but lost the final. So neither of the players, Moukoko or Camavinga, ended up winning a Champions League. Looking at the Europa League, Chelsea won one down here in 22-23, but that was before Moukoko signed for them. They also lost a couple of finals up here. So Moukoko has just not won any major European competition. Camavinga has done. He's won a couple of Europa Leagues with Roma and one with Marseille in the season that's just gone on. In terms of the European Championships, well, France haven't won it. So Moukoko's not won a continental international tournament, which is interesting. Moukoko has won the African Cup of Nations, though, because Cameroon won it in 2033. So there's one trophy for one of our boys. And then in terms of the World Cup, neither France or Cameroon have got to a final or a third, fourth place playoff. So unlucky there. Unlucky for both of the boys who, despite being the best players in the world, have essentially not done anything. I tell you what, I'm pretty shocked by this. I'm pretty shocked at how little they've achieved in their careers. Despite having 200 current ability, neither of them could win many individual awards or any cup competitions or anything like that. I can't believe it. Maybe they're not all they're cracked up to be. They've got the really high potential ability, but everything else just sort of lets them down a little bit. I don't know. It's really weird, isn't it? That is going to be it, though, for today's episode. So if you guys did enjoy it, make sure you do leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Make sure you leave a comment down below letting me know who you want to see in this sort of series in the future, and we'll do them. And I guess until I see you next time, have a lovely evening, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.